Greetings, listeners. Welcome to Consulting Between Friends. I am your host, Michael Holmes Jr. The redistricting process is going on now in the United States. In each state, the Congress and Senate are working vigorously on redrawing district lines. Everyone is requesting fair maps of representation for the population in all states. This will give everyone an equal opportunity. Here is the surprise. In some states, the redistricting process is not fair to all groups of people. There are several organizations and groups working to protect people's rights. Black Voters Matter is fighting for people's rights for representation of redistricting. I will be interviewing the Louisiana State Organizing Manager Omari for Black Voters Matter Fund. Redistricting will affect young people as well. There are different youth groups working to inform the next generation of voters. One of the organizations which I will be interviewing is the People's Promise Youth Division. The topic is redistricting, the fight for fair maps in all states. We will return after a message from our sponsor. Everyone is always planning things, and advertising is needed to make it happen. So, if it's personal or business, let Pinpoint Designs and Images solve that problem. With Pinpoint Designs and Images LLC, you will receive quality work and professional service at a great price. The service that is offered: flyers, business cards, programs, invitations, photo books, ad booklets, and much more. Michael Holmes Jr., owner/principal designer of Pinpoint Designs and Images LLC. Contact me by email or social media. Email address is pinpointdesignsandImages@gmail.com, and Instagram Pinpoint Designs, and Facebook Pinpoint Designs and Images. We are back. The redistricting takeover rally took place on February 8th, 2022, in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The day at the state capitol was on February 9th, 2022. The rally was held at the McKinley Alumni Center. The entertainment for the rally and setup design was by Class Act Entertainment Group. This company is owned by Shay Jones. Welcome to Consulting Between Friends.
Hello, my name is Omari Hosang, and I am the state organizing manager with the Black Voters Matter Fund.
Well, that's nice to hear. Since you mentioned that, do you mind explaining a little bit more about the Black Voters Matters?
Yes, I'd love to. Well, first of all, Michael, thanks for having me on Consulting Between Friends. It's been a long time coming, and I'm glad that I'm finally here. But just to talk about Black Voters Matter, you have to really think about it in a couple of ways. And the first way is on really face value, right? Black voters matter, and that voters part of it is so important, because sometimes people misstate it and say Black votes matter, which makes sense. But the reason why it's voters is because voters is human. Voters are people with lives, with stakes at the polls, and with intersecting issues that impact our community, specifically as Black voters. And you also have to think about the relationship between Black voters and the electoral process, all the way from the beginning, the fight that we had, the trials that we went through, having to count beans in a jar in order to get the right to vote. You think about here in Louisiana, Ella Jo Baker coming to Shreveport and organizing over 200 people to show up to register to vote, and only 14 left actually registered back in 1959. And so it's just really important to think about Black voters in the very human sense, and not just the action of voting. And then the second really important foundation of who Black voters matter is our power building function. We work with our partners all over the country, and specifically here in Louisiana, all across the state, from urban centers to the rural areas, and work with their organizations to build capacity to create the change that's in their mission statements, the change that they want to see. And for each of our partners, it looks different, but the unifying piece is power building. And we know that voting is a tactic that we must engage in order to have a voice in the building of America, in the building of democracy.
Well, you explained a lot. I like how you basically broke it down what Black voters matter, because I know some people might heard of the name, but they really don't know the whole thing. So you did brought it to life. And I like how you did that. I know we got a little step up ahead of ourselves. Do you mind go ahead and say like, how was your day?
Oh, yeah, my day's been really good. It's been really busy. Actually, just right before the call, I found out that the governor of the state of Louisiana has vetoed the unfair map that came out, the unfair congressional map that came out of the redistricting session. And so we were just celebrating with our partners about this win, this huge win. Now, at the same time, the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education, the House and Senate legislative maps, and the Public Service Commission, they won't change. They won't become fairer this go round. But at least we will be able to have an opportunity to add a second minority as Black folk in the state of Louisiana, because we're a third of the state, minority congressional district. So we're excited. It's been exciting, but I also was able to get a nap today, and any day I can get a nap in is a good day. For sure.
It's understandable. That is some great news. So that is enough to say like, okay, I need to rest for a little bit if I can regroup myself and get back to work.
Exactly. Yes, absolutely. How was your day?
I had a long day today at work, but everything was good. I was really concentrating on this interview this evening because I've been wanting to interview you for a while since I got to know you through my Jeremiah group.
Thank you. Yes, it's been wonderful working with the Jeremiah group. And Miss Jackie, she don't play. She is an organizer extraordinaire. And so it's really been a pleasure meeting you and meeting Miss Jackie and the Jeremiah group.
Yes. Well, we're about to start this interview. I just want you to explain a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So again, my name is Omari Hosang, and I am a community organizer here in the state of Louisiana. I am a mother of 2 boys, 10 years old, we're really about to be 11, and a 10-month-old who will turn 1 next month. So between Black Voters Matter, my nonprofit, All Streets, All People ASAP, and being a mom of 2, I stay pretty busy. But any day that you're able to work and do what you love, it never feels like you're working. So I'm doing the work, but it's definitely a labor of love. So that's in a nutshell me. Oh, well, and also I'm from Birmingham, Alabama originally. I have been in Shreveport living, I'm based out of Shreveport. since 2014. So was that like 8 years here in the States? So I definitely feel like a Louisianan because this is where I've spent a majority of my adult life and have built my professional career here, dealing with Louisiana issues, living in Louisiana community, raising my children, and sending them to Louisiana schools. So, everything Louisiana is important to me.
Well, since you also mentioned that, and you mentioned also your role for Black Voters Matter, how you found out about Black Voters Matter in the beginning?
Well, it's very interesting because, I'm talking about this veto from the governor. The governor is John Bel Edwards, and it was actually during his second gubernatorial run, his run for reelection, that I saw the blackest bus in America for the first time ever. And I was at Southern University. I was like, what is this big old black old bus? And I'm like, okay, let me check it out. And I was able to meet Cliff Albright and Latasha Brown, who are our co-founders and our leaders in the work, and just was able to organize with other partners and just connect with them and see them at different events. At a warrant clinic I saw them at, and so that's how I found out about Black Voters Matter.
Oh, that's good. So you attended the event that you saw that they had going on in the state, and you said, I would like to belong to this organization.
Well, really what happened was I was working with one of their original partners, the Power Coalition for Equity and Justice. And so the gubernatorial election was coming up, and there were debates and different events happening for GOTV. And GOTV is probably a word people hear a lot, but it means getting out the vote. And I was singing them at GOTV events with partners. And Vote was another partner organization that I was engaged with, that I followed rather. And they were having a joint event, and Black Voters Matter was there with the bus. And I actually originally met Cliff through a connect I met when I was at Tuskegee University. And she told him about me, and we ended up doing a kind of a radio interview, or interview kind of like this one. And that was back in 2018 when I met Cliff originally. But being able to be a part of the work to reelect the governor, right, which is the only Democratic governor in the Deep South, and to be able to connect with this major organization that was a part of helping Louisiana-based partners do that work, I knew that they were a powerful organization. And they actually reached out to me and asked me if I would like to apply. I also partnered ASAP with BVM as well. So I was a partner originally, and that grew into a role back in 2020.
Oh, that was good. I like how you explained all of that. And that was a lot you explained. And I see since you decided to go through all that, you realized this was a perfect fit for you.
Well, it definitely is a perfect fit. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I get to do something different every day, and it's all movement building. Because Louisiana really needs that movement infrastructure, and we need a pipeline, we need a railroad of different partner organizations that have different missions that address all the issues that impact Black people, and they're able to get the funding that they need and the tools that they need, right, through capacity building, to be able to do the work that they've set out to do. Because a lot of time in our community, Michael, like, we got a whole lot of people who want to help and do the work, who see the problem, but it's really having the tools to be able to execute. That's what's missing.
That is true. That is true. The tools is what people don't be having in their possession. But groups like this can bring the tools to them.
Yeah. And so that's definitely what we do. We work with partners. We provide, data resources so that they can target and reach Black voters in our community during elections, but also in between elections, 365 days. Because as I said at the beginning, Black Voters Matter is a power building organization. Yes, we are voters, but deeper than that, we are human beings impacted by this American system this very undemocratic system, a system that was really designed on every front to prevent Black people, Black communities from really thriving at our highest level. So we're building the power to be able to combat that and to do it together, to really coalesce and start seeing, realizing that movement that we've been talking about since the Black Power movement of the 60s.
Well, since you also mentioned that, this will lead to what I'm about to ask you next. What was your purpose in Black Voters Matter?
My purpose. So you probably heard me already say the word movement a lot. My purpose in Black Voters Matter is to help them to reach their mission to build power in Black communities. To do that with our partners like the Jeremiah Group, but with allied organizations who already have strong capacity on a statewide level, like the Power Coalition and the ACLU of Louisiana, Louisiana Progress, the LDF of the NAACP, like working with organizations like them to be able to filter their resources in a way that it is received effectively and it's able to be utilized by the people who are working with the most impacted people of our community. Because that's how I believe that we can create systems change, because we address symptoms a lot, but not systems. And so Black Voters Matter, the Capacity Building Institute, and the fund enables organizations to be able to have the resources to create system change on a very local level. So we're not just talking about presidential elections, though they are important. We're not just talking about Senate elections, though they are important. We're also talking about congressional elections. We're talking about state legislative elections on both the House and the Senate side, right? We're talking about mayors, city councils, police juries, commissioners, everything, school board, which is not often paid attention to on both the local or parish level and the state level with the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education. So there's so many systems that we have to address. And the only way we'll be able to do that is if we build capacity for the organizations already doing the work, and if we build a movement to reach that goal together.
Yes, since you mentioned systems is very important because some people don't know all the systems that it takes for an organization like Black Voters Matter to help others, correct?
Right. And we got to bring that awareness. You know, it's got to be on every level of the consciousness. So basically, you know, sometimes we want to steer away from the mainstream because we feel the mainstream is where a lot of the lie of oppression, the lies that enable this system, this white supremacist system to function, but also being able to engage on a mainstream level where we're creating awareness, but also news media, local news media, right? In our various cities, one-on-one conversations, you know, like this one. You cannot underestimate the power of a one-on-one conversation. And when you have a goal in mind, movement, when you have issues that you want to focus on, whether that's redistricting, fair maps, food deserts, mass incarceration, police brutality, inequity in education, health disparity, and a lack of resources and access, maternal health, diversion programs, housing, fair housing, you know, all these issues, no matter what it is, you're able to address it intelligently. So
that is true. That is really true. Well, I heard you mention about redistricting. I know that we just had a redistricting rally not too long ago, and I attended with the Jeremiah Group. So I was wondering, what was your overview of redistricting takeover rally?
So my overview of the redistricting takeover rally was that it was phenomenal. It was truly phenomenal. I truly enjoyed bringing people together on a whole different level in terms of how we were engaging with them. We had fun. It was a lot of joy in the room, a lot of celebration, while also being able to share information. And then the next morning, people woke up and we went to where the problem existed, right? The state house,
Yes. Hmm.
together. So I thought the redistricting takeover did what it was supposed to do. Then the young people from the People's Promise Youth Division who came and went toe to toe with seasoned legislators about their rights to fair maps as people of the state and as young people. That changed the trajectory of the conversation in the legislature. After that day, the session wasn't the same, right? And you
Yes.
saw Republican Barry Ivy come out and be very public about adding majority minority districts after that day. So I think that we all should be proud of ourselves and should take this as permission to keep the fight going, because coming together, what we're doing is working.
Yes, it is. And since you did mention about the People's Youth Division, I was there and I saw how they was voicing their opinions. I agree what they were saying because really, if you look at it, they are the next generation of voters. So they have a say so.
Absolutely. You are dead on, Michael.
Do you believe everyone learned something from the rally and benefit as well?
I think so. I think that everybody left a little bit more empowered. I know I
Mhm.
did, even as somebody who helped to plan it, just being in the room and knowing what the mission was. I think everybody was like on one mind, like, oh, okay, we coming together. We talked about redistricting. We're demanding fair maps. We're testifying. We've given ourselves the authority to address this issue, right? Together.
Yes.
And it's very powerful when Black people come together, with one goal in mind and a purpose. So I thought it was good. Now, always when I look at events that I'm a part of organizing, there's always 10 million things I want to change or upgrade or update. But all of that was on me. And I think that it went how it was supposed to go. But every time we do something like that, we get better. So just continuing to get better, reach more people, raise more awareness, organize more resources. I think that we're going to make a huge difference in Louisiana.
That is definitely true. Well, since you mentioned about the planning, how long it took to plan this event?
Well, we started planning it kind of way back, but like really getting into the nitty gritty logistics of it, it took about 2 weeks to
Hmm.
do, especially for the pep rally and for the day at the Capitol, making sure that we had all of our things, in line. And then for state buildings, whenever you have any type of event or gathering, you have to request a permit from the State Buildings Association or State Buildings Department. I'm not sure what it's called, but permitting and then working with Class Act Entertainment on getting the rally together. They made it a red carpet affair, which was so dope. And the picture station, the McKinley Alumni Center, I think was the perfect spot to have it. We had the McKinley High School marching band that opened us up. We had food trucks both days. We had awesome entertainment. We had a rapper. He was dope. We had some singing. We had some church up in there. We had a
Uh-huh.
DJ. I mean, it was like a party, but a party with an absolute purpose. And
That is
today we
true.
got a veto. We got a veto for the bad maps that came out. And, that's that should clearly be to us a victory. That's a win.
Yes, that is a win because we was letting the people know that their voice can be heard at the rally, and to hear that the current news you just mentioned about the veto from the governor about fair maps, that's actually a great achievement.
Yes. Thank you. Pat yourself on the back. You was in the house.
Yes, I was in the house,
Yeah.
and it was really good. I'm glad I was there. I really am glad. I learned some things. I saw the different groups that participated as well, and everybody just enjoyed just being there and learning something, and then voicing their opinion.
Right.
Oh, well, since you mentioned about the rally, what were some of the organizations that was participating in the rally?
Oh, we had the Jeremiah Group. We had All Streets, All People ASAP. We had the People's Promise and the People's Promise Youth Division. We had Class Act Entertainment. Oh, we had the NAACP State Conference and the NAACP Baton Rouge chapter and Lafayette chapters. We had the United Ballot Pack, a new chapter push. Who else did we have up in there? Ooh, we had Color of Change. Color of Change was there.
Mm.
Power Coalition was represented. I mean, we had some amazing partners. We also had the FDK Foundation from North Louisiana. We had David Willie Marketing Group, and just many others that we cannot name or that I can't remember. But we definitely had a strong contingency of partners that was with us.
Well, that was a lot of people who participated in organizations. And that was nice to hear because I knew some of it, but not all of it. So I like how you just explained that because my listeners, they are basically going to be like amazed, like, uh, this organization worked with all these organizations to put this rally on and it ended up being a
Yeah,
success and people learned something from it.
absolutely. And young people were involved. Jeremiah
Yes,
brought 25 young people.
yes, yes, they did. And it was in the young group there from that school, West Jefferson High School, they actually learned some stuff as well of being at the Capitol. And it was a good experience for them to participate in.
Yes, absolutely.
What are the upcoming projects Black Voters Matter are working on that people can voice their rights?
All right. Well, right now we're in accountability season. So we launched yesterday the Point Them Out campaign to bring awareness and accountability to the members of the Black Legislative Caucus that voted against fair maps during the last
Mhm.
session. And so we're asking everybody, tap into our toolkit, get those flyers, or you can visit my Facebook page at Omari Hosang, and that's Omari, first name, last name HO-SANG. And on Facebook, you'll actually be able to see the toolkit and the graphics. You can put them on your Facebook pages, but most importantly, give them a call and ask them why they voted against fair maps. Because though we've gotten our veto for the congressional map, they still have to go back into session and redraw the map. So the question is, are the same 6 Black legislators going to vote against the fair map again? Right.
Mhm.
And so it's important that we call them and that we, in a respectful and a loving way, we ask them why so we can get some answers as their constituents.
That is definitely true. When something is going on, you have the right to call your senator and anybody in legislation, correct?
Yes, you have the right to call your representative and your senator. You got one of each. And so you call them, you email them. If they don't answer, call them back. I mean, you have that right. Don't let them. I mean, and most legislators are actually really friendly, or their offices are really friendly. So
Mhm.
it's not even a matter of like people not being civil, but also knowing you can't let anyone make you feel like you're not belonging in this space of doing political organizing and community organizing, right? And so
Correct.
I pick up that phone confidently, dial that number, and let them know you are one of their constituents. And another piece about the Point Them Out campaign is that you don't have to live in their district, because their vote against the fair maps impacted every Black person in the state of Louisiana, irrespective of what your actual legislative district is.
Mhm.
So, we ask for you to stand with us and make these phone calls as we head into this legislative session, which is the next huge piece that's coming up on the 14th. The session starts, and then right after that, we have an election on March 26th. And so there's a lot of really important municipal races that are happening around the state, from mayors, aldermen, city council people. We have judge elections that are happening across the state. And so, we're asking everybody, check the GEAUX govote.com voter portal and just verify your registration. Make sure that you're registered and make sure you know exactly where to vote, because there have been a lot of polling locations and not lots of notification about it. So make sure you know exactly where to vote, when you're voting. And I strongly encourage, for everybody to vote early. So early voting starts this Saturday, March 12th, and it spans through the 19th. So go ahead on and vote.
That is some important information that my listeners and everyone who are a voter or who is planning to vote in any election needs to know.
Absolutely, absolutely. And in Jefferson Parish, there are some really critical elections happening in Kenner, Louisiana. And so I'm asking everybody who is listening, who is in that area, if you're registered to vote, even if you're not registered, you need to go ahead and get registered. But there's some very important elections, and I actually really want to tell you exactly what those elections are so that you can know exactly who you're voting for and why it's important. So in Jefferson Parish, you have the mayor who's up for election. You have the chief of police in the city of Kenner. You also have Council District 1, Council District 2, Council District 3, and Council District 5. So very, very important municipal races happening in Jefferson. So y'all make your voting plan for either March 12th through 19th for early voting. Polls open at 8:30 and close at 6. Check the early voting location because it's different from your typical voting location on election day. And if you're voting on election day, March 26th, polls open at 7 a.m.
Yes, that is valuable information that everyone needs to know when going to the polls for election day.
Absolutely.
What were some of the companies that were working with the rally?
What were some of the companies that were working with the rally? So you got
Yes.
Class Act Entertainment, who was working, actually leading the planning of the logistics and the theme of the event and making sure that everything ran smoothly that day. And so they are a event planning organization that has done work for several years. And I was introduced to them through the Jeremiah Group. And I'm very, very pleased that we work with Class Act, and we're actually planning on working with Class Act again in some upcoming events. We are, getting geared up for the midterms, which take place in November and December in Louisiana. So that's that congressional race, that second Black majority congressional district we're about to get. We'll be able to actually vote. We'll be able to vote in that district this upcoming election. And so we are mobilizing 350,000 Black voters.
Oh.
So, there's going to be plenty of opportunity for us to engage with people. We got the Essence Festival. We got the Bayou Classic. We have our Collard Green Caucus coming up. We have our Battle of the Bands, Blackest Bus in America bus tour. And so we have a lot coming down the pipeline, but the main goal is to build power. So, we're going to be having fun. We're going to be connecting with each other, but we're going to be building movement at the same time.
Yes. And that's what's important, building a movement of people to let them know their rights.
That's right.
What was your overall thought about having Consulting Between Friends podcast a part of the event?
Oh, I thought it was great. I think that it was a very good strategy to have some level of Black-led media there. I wish that more people actually had a consultation between friends and actually interview with you. And so, definitely you can become a Black Voters Matter Fund partner as Consulting Between Friends, and make sure that you're engaged with all the BBM events and make sure that you're there. And we can even work on some comms materials where, we can have push cards and graphics that are made where we're advertising that you'll be there, and we're building some type of incentive for people to do the podcast and then making sure that we're helping to push out the podcast itself so more people know about it.
Oh, I like how you explained that. I'm glad I asked you that question, and I like how you just explained yourself with that because that's something I did not know that was possible.
Definitely. Yeah.
That sounds good. Well, the interview is coming to an end. I want to
Yeah.
ask you what you thought about the interview.
I thought the interview was lovely. I think that you asked some great questions and just gave me some space to talk about the work. And that's always fun. And you're easygoing. So consulting with friends truly felt like a combo with a friend. So I appreciate you inviting me on to the show, giving me space to talk about Black Voters Matter and the movement work that's happening.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed the interview, and I enjoyed interviewing you today on Consulting Between Friends.
Thank you. You have a wonderful, wonderful week.
Omari Osan can be reached at Omari at blackvotersmatterfund.org and on Facebook, Omari Hosan. After a short break, we will return. We are back. My name is Michael Holmes Jr., and I welcome both of y'all to Consulting Between Friends podcast.
I'm Mr. Holmes. My name is Kingston Wills,
And my name is Michaela Turner.
and we're a part of the People's Promise Youth Division.
Okay, that sounds good. Do you mind explaining what is your job in your organization?
Yes, sir, of course. I'm the chair and founder of the People's Promise Youth Division.
I'm our COO, our Chief Organization Officer.
Okay, that sounds good. So, what do y'all focus on in your organization?
The Youth Division is really an organization that prepares the youth for the future.
Oh, okay.
So we have two main aspects of what we do: civic engagement and community building.
Okay.
So for the civic engagement aspect, we teach students their responsibility to make change in the civil world, and we show them how they can make change. So we're in every single place where you can make change: the school boards, the city councils, and we speak and propose legislation that affects the youth.
Oh, that
And-
sounds really good.
Yes, sir. And for the community building,
Mm-hmm.
we do everything: tutoring, we do college preparation, we do career lectures, teach students about what they can do once they graduate. So we do a variety of things to prepare the youth for the future, so that once they come in to get into our community, they can be the best prepared for the adult world.
I like how you just explained that. Do you mind telling me where y'all located?
Yes, sir. We're located in Shreveport, Louisiana. And we're looking at expanding. So we're hopefully moving out in all Louisiana.
Oh, so y'all located in North Louisiana. Have
Yes,
you heard
sir.
of Natchitoches, Louisiana?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
we're
Right
right
next to
outside there.
Natchitoches.
Yes, I used to live up there, so I know all about the area. Well, I like how you just explained about the organization. So, what brought y'all here to tonight at this meeting?
So tonight, our group, mainly we're trying to get more of our group to understand what's going on in our government. There's a lot of people in our group that don't really understand what redistricting is all about. And so we did want them to have more of that experience and to get some networking done, meet more people, and genuinely just get our name and our voices heard while we're here.
The main idea is we wanted to show the legislators that redistricting is not only important to adults, but it's important to the youth. So we're going to tell them why it's important to us and why we're here to speak about it.
That is true. It's important to everybody. Now, since you also mentioned about the youth, and you are from Shreveport, Louisiana, how did y'all find out about this rally in Baton Rouge, Louisiana?
Well, Miss Omari, the head of the Black Voters Matter organization in Shreveport, Louisiana. She's a very big help to our organization, and she taught us about this redistricting caravan, and we all came in a big bus to Baton Rouge to really speak our mind about why redistricting is important, and that's how we found about it from Miss Omari Hassan.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah, the Black Voters Matter bus tour is really good. I participated twice with the Jeremiah group in New Orleans, Louisiana.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yes. So it's good that y'all decide to come along down here to Baton Rouge, Louisiana for the redistricting efforts in Baton Rouge, letting people know how important it is as well. And y'all going to learn a lot when y'all here with Black Voters Matter bus tour. So I hope y'all take advantage of everything y'all learning so far.
Yes, sir. We will make sure to soak up everything.
That is good. So what is y'all goal for tomorrow for being here?
Our goal really is to teach the legislators why redistricting is important to the youth and mainly the future of Louisiana. So our main message is that in 10 years, this map that they create now, for 10 years, that's going to really affect us in our future. So we're telling them why it's important to the youth and future of Louisiana.
That is true. It does affect everyone and it does fix the youth. Because really, 10 years, a lot can happen in 10 years. Like, how old are you right now?
I'm 18 right now.
And how old are you right now?
16.
Yes. So you're 16 and you're 18. In 10 years, this really is going to affect y'all across the board, especially you since you're 18.
Yeah, and the big thing we're trying to push on is that like kids like me who are 18 and about to go off to college, are we going to stay? Unless they create a map that makes sure our voices are heard, we aren't going to stay. We're going to leave and go out of state to college. So if they want the youth to stay here, then they gotta be accountable.
Yes, that is definitely true. The youth do have to hold the adults accountable for what they're supposed to be doing about redistricting and being fair. But really, it's not being fair. I'm learning about that on a daily basis. I just did a podcast on redistricting and I interviewed a state representative called Kyle Green Jr., and he explained all of that, which is very interesting. And I learned a little bit more about the process. And one thing we did focus on was diluting the vote. And diluting the vote is actually what's going on right now. A little bit, it's sad to say. I heard this when I was coming up here to Baton Rouge. I used to live in Natchitoches, Louisiana, and I just heard on the radio, on I think it was NPR, basically, and they mentioned, I think a congressman or a state representative in Natchitoches, he had a seat, but now with this redistricting going on, he don't have the seat anymore. And I was surprised to hear that, and I didn't think that could really happen, but it looks like this is happening, and this is very serious.
We heard a very similar story with Representative Colonel Cox. He's up in Natchitoches, the area, I believe. And
Yes.
The way the maps they're proposing will completely crack his districts to dilute their voting power. So it's a story. It's a common story.
Yes. And it's affecting the minority population the most. It's sad, but it's true. And I can't believe that's really happening, but it looks like it's going that way.
Yeah, that's why we're here.
Well, I'm glad that y'all was able to be here and looking forward to seeing y'all tomorrow at the state capitol. And do you mind saying your name one more time, please?
Of course. My name is Kingston Wills.
And I'm Michaela Turner.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. And this was Consulting Between Friends podcast. Thank you. The People's Promise Youth Division can be reached at thepeoplespromiseyouth.org and on Instagram at People's Promise Youth. In closing, I hope this episode showed you how organizations and groups are working together on the redistricting efforts for people in the communities. Also, why fair maps of representation for the population are important as well. One last thing. Remember to support Black business owners and always know you have a voice to make change in the world. What's going on in the news? The gas prices are very high right now. The price of gas is $5 now, which has caused problems for consumers. This has affected people tremendously by household budgets. For example, grocery shopping for the family. You can click the links about gas prices in the podcast notes under What's Going On in the News. American companies are stopping their businesses in Russia. This is because the Russian President Vladimir Putin is causing a war towards the Ukraine people. Some of the businesses are MasterCard, Visa Card, Starbucks Coffee, and Netflix. You can click the link about companies stopping their businesses in Russia in the podcast notes under What's Going On in the News. The Louisiana governor, John Bell Edwards, has vetoed the congressional redistricting maps that were proposed for the state of Louisiana. The maps that were vetoed by the governor did not represent the current population in the state. The maps that were proposed was going to hurt the minorities in the state, which are the Black population. You can click the links about a governor who vetoed congressional redistricting maps in the podcast notes under What's Going On in the News. Thank you for listening to Consulting Between Friends. This podcast is available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts, as well other platforms that are available. So like and subscribe. Need to contact us and leave us a comment? You can find us on Instagram at Consulting B Friends. Once again, Consulting B Friends. An email address is consultingbfriends@gmail.com. Once again, consultingbfriends@gmail.com. Consulting Between Friends now has a way for listeners to share their feedback about the podcast. The listeners can now share their feedback on Discord. The link will be available in the podcast notes and on the podcast website. Consulting Between Friends. Thanks to everyone for making this possible. The host, Michael Holmes Jr., and co-host Shay R. Jones. The producer and content creator, Michael Holmes Jr. The artwork cover, Michael Holmes Jr. Original music, a DJ named Slash. Special guest, Omari Osan. Louisiana State Organizing Manager for Black Voters Matter Fund. Kingston Wiltz, the People's Promise Youth Division founder and co-chair. Michaela Turner, Chief Operating Officer, the People's Promise Youth Division. Content distributor, myproducer.biz.